So we're kind of in a tight spot here. Looking up at the supply line and the valve to the sink. The sink's up here. We're gonna go to this right here, this connection for the sink. That is a 1/2 inch FIP connection. And then the valve, all this stuff is kind of tight in here. The valve's going to connect. Well, here's one valve. That's for the other side. And then side we're working on is right here. Just has this shut off right now. So I need to get this valve attached to that line, which is just going to be a piece of PEX in between. And that shut off valve, I put it there because at the time I didn't have this valve, so I could have the water on. So now I'm going to have 2 shut off valves. It's fine. So this little valve I have, it's a mini water valve. It's a 3/8 compression on this side, with compression ring in here, and then this side's 1/2 inch PEX barb, regular barb. And so take that cap off. Don't drop your compression ring. This little brass ring. Take care of it. But this, I don't need this now because there's one built in to the supply line here. So you're gonna have it slip over. Gosh, I don't think you even need the compression ring with because there's a gasket in here. I wonder if I take the gasket out, if I need the, I'd rather have the gasket than the compression ring though. I'm gonna take a look at it. So I'm taking out the compression ring from this valve because it's in there. In between the two is a thick rubber gasket. So I'm going to start by installing it up top to the sink by hand for now. Hand tight, nice and easy. Go real slow so you don't have a possibility of stripping it. Only turn it if it wants to turn, and get it to about hand tight. And I might hit it a few times with a crescent wrench later. Just gotta look like hand tight there. And then if you could see the valve here and the line right here, the PEX line, there's going to be a section of PEX pipe in there between. I have to bend this like an S curve. The hose, the supply line hose, I'm bending it. It's a flexible braided hose. This is a 3/8 compressions fitting, and then a 1/2 inch PEX. The top of the connection is a 1/2 inch to the sink. So you bend it like an S, the hose up to there, so that it's right in line with that. I measure for a little section of PEX pipe. I'm using PEX B, which is like, there's a PEX A, basically. The C is not that common. B is like cheaper. A is like a premium it's just not as commonly used. B is way more commonly used. So then I don't want it to be too short. So I'm just seeing where it wants to flex, where it wants to bend, where it wants to come together. It looks like a 3-inch piece. I'm gonna say 3 1/8. Three or 3 1/8. Yeah, 3 1/8. So we'll get my little piece of PEX pipe. So I have a big long roll of PEX pipe for longer runs. I bought this 10-foot section for straight or shorter pieces for when you want it to be straight. Because the big rolls have, they'll have a curve to it. And I just don't want it for shorter pieces. I don't want a curve. So this is just a lot straighter. So I messed around with that before and just wasn't happy with little short pieces that were curved. I don't know if it would be a big deal or not, but it looks better to have them be straight. 3 1/8. So everything, the two connections of the supply line are hand tight. I'll tighten them with just these crescent wrenches when I'm done. Tighten them up. They don't have to be too tight. I mean, tight enough to not let it leak though. And slipping on my little section. Got my rings ready to go. They're crimp rings, copper crimp rings. Slide them on to your section of pipe first. 2 of them. Doing 2 of them. 2 barbed ends. There's a barbed end on this mainline shutoff valve, and then barb on this sink shutoff valve. And again, this hose supply line is going to curve into an S. Let's curve to that S, pop it on. It's pushing the line down. I'm going to take the top off so I get a straighten the line out while I'm crimping it. And then I will brace this line so it doesn't go crooked. I will get some bracing for it. Strap, plastic strap. And I want my joints to line up as straight as I can get them. So push it up, get it nice and straight. Position your valve in a nice place that looks good where you spin it down. I don't like to spin it after it's been crimped. So I slide on my, I guess I call this alligator crimper, but it's a pocket crimper. Nice cheap tool, but it's really not as easy to use as the big one, the regular crimper. Make sure your barbs are in the line. I kind of clamp down on the crimper by hand a little bit, then I get my vice grips on there. Again, make sure the crimp ring is back off the end of the line, 1/8 to 1/4. I usually go closer to 1/8. Usually go right between the two. So you want a space of 1/8 to 1/4 from the ring to the end of the PEX tubing. Give it a crimp. That first crimp will get you it will hold it to where it won't spin anymore. Things won't move. Loosen it, tighten the jaws of the vice grips, crimp it again. Yeah, do this like 4 or 5 times, tightening it down slowly but surely, tightening that ring onto the barbed fitting over the PEX tubing. You can see a little gap. I don't need to paper test it yet. Tighten it one last time, maybe. That was a really tight crimp. Test it with a piece of paper. This tool, slide it between the jaws. Paper does not go through. When it does not go through anymore, you're tight enough, you crimped it tight enough. You still check it with your no-go gauge. Which I have to find at the moment. My gauge. That's one thing I'm missing right now. Here it is. Slip your gauge on it. Try the go side first. Go side and then the no-go side. If it slips onto the go side, it goes all the way on and it swings around, then you crimped it right. And also, if you try to slip on the no and it doesn't go all the way on, it doesn't swing around tight on there, then you did a good job. I gotta do one more side. So you loosen up the vice grips. It's usually like 5 little spins back. Position your pocket crimper again. Make sure your PEX line is on. Oh, it slipped over all the barbs. Slide the jaws of your crimper on there. Position your crimp ring 1/8 to 1/4 away from the end of the PEX line. I guess that's ideal. I've seen people crimp it all over the place and it still holds because there's 3 barbs. And I guess technically you only need to get 1 barb in there, but then spin your valve if you want to spin it anymore. Into position, I want to spin it just a little bit. There. I kind of hand tighten it. Put your vice grips on it. Give it. It's a little tight right now. Loosen it up a little bit. Loosen it. Initial crimp. 3 or 4 more to go. Tighten a little bit. Crimp. Loosen. Tighten. Crimp. Loosen the vice grips. Or open them. Tighten the vice grips. Close. Vice grips. Open. Tighten the vice grip. Adjuster. Crimp it. I can see the gap. I need to go. I need to crimp down more. That's tight. But it's not tight enough. It's incremental with this tool. You just got to do a little bit at a time. I can see I closed the gap. I do like this tool because you can test it with the paper and the gauge. So you feel confident that you got it. And it all comes apart. I try to usually open the vice grips slowly so it doesn't do that. check it with your gauge on the 1/2 inch. This gauge does 3/8, 1/2 inch, and 3/4. So use the right one. 1/2 inch, go, it goes on, spins. Check the no-go side. It does not go on, it does not go on and spin. It spins, but it doesn't go all the way on. So the next thing to do would be to get strapping strapped this in place to where I want it to get nice and straightened out. So I can get some strapping. Let's see. Just install that first. Let's see. I don't like it being crooked. Or am I even going to strap that to? Not sure yet. So I'm going to install the other side of the sink connector. Same connector. 3/8 inch flare. And then a 1/2 inch FIP. And I'm just going to do it hand tight. And for the other one to straighten out this other line I just did, I'm going to wedge a piece of wood in between the cabinet and the sink. And then from there I'll put a strap. It doesn't need to be pulled up much, just to pull it up and then strap it to that piece of wood. So I'm going to do the 3/8 side, valve side, hand tight, nice and easy. Don't force it. When it's seating on that gasket, you don't have to go very tight. So I'm just doing hand tight for now. And then, this has got to be bent to get up there. It's a flexible braided line. Just don't want to put too much pressure on the galvanized side and the PEX side. So go nice and slow to get that bend. Hand tight. Start. I do like how flexible PEX is. I'm not sure if that went on. I always like to I just try. Again, I take it off, try it again, make sure it goes on really easy. Make sure you're not stripping anything out. That time I felt like it was really easy, a lot easier. It's hard to see at the right angle if you're going onto it straight, so you're kind of going by feel. Helps if you can look at it straight on. All right, hand tight. I'm gonna go ahead and tighten that top. A little crescent. I'm not going too tight. It's got a nice thick gasket on it. It doesn't take much to seat that gasket and get a watertight seal. The actual connections on the sink here are plastic. Not ideal, but we'll see how it works. It's pretty simple. I don't like a lot of the new slip connectors, like just quick connect. I don't trust those. They can pop off. I like these ones that spin on. You gotta use a wrench. They don't just pop off instantly. Some of those easy slip connectors, if they pop off, you'd have a flood all night long and you wouldn't even know about it. If you bump it, if you just bump some of those, they'll pop right off. I would not choose that. I would choose these ones that spin on, threaded. with sink connections. I don't recommend the new sink connections that just pop on and off. It's probably tight enough. I'm just going to go a little more. When I test it, turn the water on not full blast just to test it for leaks. Just in case, because I'm not going too terribly tight. So then this one, this line I just connected, it's not bent like the other one. So I don't think I'm gonna need any kind of strapping for it. I might still put strapping on it just because I don't want it to move. So this was hand tight. I'm hitting it with a crescent wrench. A little tighter. You don't have to go super tight. You don't want to cut into your gasket. It just goes snug, almost a little tight. I always think, man, I should go tighter. I don't think you need to. So that is connected. This one I haven't done with the wrench yet. But I'm gonna stabilize this one before I connect at the top. I took it off at the top so I can stabilize this red line first, straighten it out. I'm gonna wedge a piece of wood up here, strap to that piece of wood, pull it up, pull it straight. Then I'll flex my braided line and connect it to the sink. I just don't like to put undue pressure on joints. You never know what the effect is going to be. Might mess it up, might be okay. I'd just rather not hurt or pressure the joints. That one's snug. And time for a block of wood. Wedge wood.